Hello there, all you bucketheads, and welcome, all you foundlings, to another episode of the most disorganized podcast on the internet. If you like what you see here today, don't forget to like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe to Under the Helmet Podcast. Sorry, we're starting a little bit later. I got caught in traffic. But I'm so excited today to bring us the very first episode of Buckethead Book Club, and we're going to be talking about one of my favorite books, Shadow of the Sith.
Dylan, you got stuck in traffic, right? Did you read my text about what we're talking about today?
Oh, my bad. We're reading Brotherhood.
Not quite.
Kenobi?
That's actually getting colder. That's Legends.
The L in my heart. So what are we talking about today? Because I've run out of my comedically three picked books.
So today we're actually going to be talking about the first book in what may end up being my my new favorite era of Star Wars, that being the High Republic. And the High Republic, of course, kicks off with the first book, Light of the Jedi.
Oh.
Yes.
That was a good one. That was a good book.
It was so good. Truth be told, I finished it up about 2 days ago. So
I finished it a few months ago, but I'm definitely I did a refresher course on the events of the book, what happens, so I don't spoil what's coming in future books. But I will say, having read more books further along the line in the High Republic, I'm very excited for what happens next. I love that Callahan totally did not speed read this book last night. Good for you. I cannot read a book fast. I have to take my time and go slow and digest and reread and all kinds of stuff. So we're
because
ready.
I put up the post last night, and admittedly, this is on us. I do apologize. Things have been really busy. If you couldn't tell, I'm in a actually different location. I moved back on the 12th, and so we are now 12 days past that. And goodness gracious, it's been it's been nice. I really like the new place. It's real nice. It suits Gabby and I's needs really well. But holy crap, I've been very busy. So, but been a good time. House tour. Let me get some furniture. let me actually get some furniture.
There. Like any good move-in, it is a slow and arduous process. But once you get there, and you slowly get to build the space up to be more like home. So
we got to install Gabby's curtain rods last night. Today I get to build my adult Legos. So I get to build furniture. It's actually one of my favorite things about moving in. It's building new furniture.
Yes, I will say I love building. As you can see, I have a lot of shelves in my bedroom. I don't know if you guys notice. I'm kind of a collector of Legos. Rebuilding my Jedi temple again because I didn't like it the first time.
Fair enough.
The city looked a little too cramped, so there will be a tour eventually once I finally have decided that I like the way it looks. So we're getting there, but building shelves and moving in and stuff like that is great. You're gonna have a good time.
Oh yeah, you just got to find a good playlist.
Absolutely, get the right playlist going and just go to work. But anyway, let's go ahead hop into Light of the Jedi. Non-spoilers. What are your non-spoiler thoughts on the book?
Non-spoiler thoughts on the book. I mean, first things first, this book does a really good job of like setting the tone of the High Republic era, establishing who are going to be like our main players in this era. I was a really big fan of how it fleshed out like how the Jedi interact with the rest of the galaxy during this time, because it is a little different than other eras. I mean, original trilogy, they are all but non-existent. Prequels, they are pretty, I mean, I mean, when it comes to like the Outer Rim, there's like ghost stories of Jedi, but you get
It's
the core
kinda-
worlds
And the order is very dogmatic. It's very set in stone. Like you have your like standouts like Qui-Gon Jinn, but mostly you're gonna have your map, and you have like your Mavericks, and you have your But for every Qui-Gon Jinn, there's a Mace Windu.
right.
There's an Obi-Wan Kenobi. There's
I'm a Gundai.
shout out to him. R.I.P. R.I.P. I'm a Gundai.
I'm a Gundai.
Truly missed out. Oh, also, I don't know if I want to save this for news and rumors, but this is completely unrelated. But we've actually been robbed by the woke mind virus mob over at Disney. Never forget what those liberals took from you. They have changed the name of Jizz Music.
Wait,
It is now called Jats.
Jats?
Jatz. It is in the Max Rebo portion of the From a Certain Point of View book. However, there is hope for us true jizzers out there, because the book also mentions that there are many other colloquial pronunciations of the genre of music that are less appealing. So it's still out there. Don't forget, share this video if you are indeed a true jizzer.
Thank you, Dylan, for the.
It's very important. Never forget what they took from you.
Oh, but yes, Callahan makes a really good point. So this time period, Yoda, Yarrowpoof, also Obo-Ran-Sissus, that weird
Yaddle.
snake man.
Yaddle's also around at this time.
Yaddle is too.
Yaddle is alive, and
Yeah.
so is he just was recently promoted to Jedi Knight, but recently promoted to Jedi Knight is Terra Sanube.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, Terra Sanube is in the High Republic as well.
Terra Sanube, as in like walks with a cane.
move fast, sometimes you must move slow. Yes, Terra Sanube,
Gotcha.
So-
Okay.
the goat. I miss him every day.
Every day.
I'm a Terra Sanube fan. But yeah, Obo-Ran-Sissus actually has some pretty good moments in some later books. I haven't read, but I believe he has relation to, without going too far ahead, I believe he actually rescued or has a hand in the story of the Tempest runner Lorna D. So
Interesting.
if you don't know what a Tempest runner is, we'll get there. Because I will say that there's some of my favorite characters in these earlier High Republic entries, the Tempest runners and Marchion Row. Okay, I think I've asked this before.
I want to ask that. Is it Marchion or Marchion?
So from the audiobook, Andy, I've heard it pronounced both ways.
Are you fucking kidding me? It's an AT situation
Listen,
all over
I've heard it
again.
pronounced both ways by the same reader. Not in the same book, but by the same reader. So I've heard more. I've heard it pronounced Marchion more than I've heard it pronounced Marchion.
Okay, because that's
But
how I'd been saying it.
personally, I like it more pronounced as Marchion. I think it sounds more intimidating. And I will say the audiobooks do a really good job of adding gravity to him. Shout out to, I think Mark Thompson is the narrator that narrates this book. I think he also narrates The Rising Storm and The Fallen Star. And I love that he gives voices to all of the characters to make them sound really unique. And again, we're not sponsored by Audible, but since we're doing non-spoiler things that we like, I really liked the way that he read these books. And like when he spoke with when he did like Marchion Row, I liked the way he pronounced it, where when he would speak as Marchion, he would kind of have a forced but powerful voice. And it just the way he read it, I was like, listen, this guy is scary. He had a very like low level intimidation to his voice. And I really liked that. It kind of gives like a Sam Witwer as Maul reading.
Okay.
Specifically the line in Clone Wars where he goes, "The depths I would go to stay alive, fueled by my singular hatred." Like that. Like sort of that level. And the emotion he read it with was very good. So shout out to Mark Thompson. He also does really good voices for Bell Zettifar, Loading Greatstorm. He reads Porter Engle like an old man, and I love that. Like when he reads Porter Engle, he reads like Porter Engle, and I really liked that. So there's a little distinction, and it really does go a long way, and it goes a long way to really defining the era and establishing it, because it's giving everybody a different voice. Everybody has their own personality and flair, and I really liked that. So shout out to Mark Thompson, the GOAT.
So it's interesting. I actually hear these as I'm reading the book. I have like voices that I make up in my head for these different characters, and so I'm trying to think. I need to have some of his lines, but like Marchion, I gave like this kind of deeper voice, and like this is what he sounded like in my head, like kind of this a little bit gravelier but deeper voice of. And it's interesting because whenever they have because the Nile wear masks, helmets, however you want to call it, in my head, whenever they were wearing them and when they weren't, they sounded differently. Did they do that in the audiobooks?
Yes, they do. They put a little bit of like a vocoder edge on it. And sometimes what they'll do is actually, I don't know if he like stood farther away from the mic or if he kind of cupped his hands, but the way he did it, like it really sounds like they're speaking from inside of a mask. And Pan Ada Pan Ada's in this book, right?
Yes, Pan Ada's in this book.
Pan Ada is the Doetin.
Yes.
And
they're so
I love the idea of a Doetin because they live for hundreds of years.
For fucking ever.
And while listening to this book, it made me realize something about the Ninth Sister. Because it was the next book, but it made me think about the Ninth Sister and how she could also hypothetically be around at this time.
Yes, you brought this up.
I posted about this on my Instagram story where I saw a Doetin in Young Jedi Adventures, and I said, I wonder if this could be the Ninth Sister. I highly doubt that they would do that, but that would be incredibly cool if they did.
Yeah. So I love that. See, you say Doetin, I say Dowetin. It's different pronunciations. I'm just gonna call it like regional dialects, if nothing else.
Absolutely. And that's one of the beautiful things about Star Wars is that there's so many different regional dialects. But my favorite, and they're not in this book, but I wanted to give a mention to the way he reads Leox Jossi, especially in Fallen Star. It's basically doing a Matthew McConaughey impression. You haven't met him yet. But so,
is he the one who travels with Geode?
Yes. So I will say one of the things I wish I did differently was I wish I looked at the timeline order of the books. So I read, because I listened to Light of the Jedi, Rising Storm, and then Fallen Star, and then I went back and read the supplementary material like Into the Dark, Midnight Horizon, Into the Dark, Out of the Shadows, Midnight Horizon. And I've been kind of dabbling with some of the comics, but I haven't had a good chance to like fully read them. But those were both really, one of the things I wish I did, and I think you would appreciate differently, is going from this book and reading Into the Dark. by Claudia Gray. Because number one, it's Claudia Gray. She's amazing. Number two, you get to meet one of my favorite characters from the High Republic, Reith Silas. And you also get to learn about Leox and Geode and what they're doing at the time of the Great Disaster. And I think it's neat. So, anyways, do you want to go ahead and move on into spoilers now?
I do. Indeed.
Alrighty, so this is the spoiler warning. So if you have not read the book, this is your chance to say goodbye, skedaddle. You should definitely read this book. Come back to this episode because it is a great book, great read. You guys will love it. One of the things that I didn't like at first was that they had to jump around and introduce so many characters. But after a while, I'm really glad that they did. Because it really lays a lot of the groundwork. This book does a lot of the groundwork to lay the High Republic era out. And I think if not for the groundwork laid in this book, I wouldn't have as much of an appreciation as the other books. So, huge shout out to Charles Soule. He did amazing.
So the jumping around, for whatever reason, I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe
30 minutes to when it started with the words 30 minutes to impact, I was like, whoa, wait, what?
I was like, wait. Like it starts with impending doom. Like I almost
the arrival of the Jedi to help save the Hetzal system was just amazing. And in the audiobook, it's done so well. It's given this like gravitas, and there's triumphant music playing, and it's just a really fun time. So again, I cannot recommend the audiobooks enough. Even if you've read the book, the audiobook is worth listening to just to hear a different version of it. Like read it and follow along if you're like that.
You've mentioned this audiobook, and the more you talk about it, the more I'm like, because like, don't get me wrong, I love just reading books. I like a good hardcover book. I like, I mean, hardcovers are superior. Let's be honest. Hardcovers are superior to paperbacks any day.
Believe it or not, Erin will disagree. She's a soft cover girly.
I will debate her about this.
She cannot.
I will debate her about this.
She does. The way she described it to me was she doesn't like the texture of a hardcover, and she has a hard time reading it because of the texture of the hardcover. She likes the soft cover and being able to like bend it. I like my hardcovers. I like my hardbacks, but I'm a little both. I go both ways when it comes to books.
Okay.
So, shout out Shadow of the Sith. But so I guess now that we're in spoilers, we can really talk about who was your favorite character in this book.
That's asking a lot of me.
So there's a lot of great characters in this book. I really liked the romance sort of tease between between
Elgar and Elzar.
Avar.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that.
I'm not a shipper. I'm not a big shipper when it comes to Star Wars and Jedi. Loden Greatstorm is amazing, and he deserves so much more than we can talk about. But we will definitely touch on Loden. Loden is great, and
I love Loden.
So I just recently read the book Tales of Light and Life, and it has a story with Bell, and he actually flashbacks to without going into too many spoilers. He flashes back to a mission between him and Loden, like bringing peace to a planet. And once you've read Phase 1, Tales of Light and Life is so good. Also, Phase 2 is pretty good. I've started dipping my toes in the water of Phase 2, and I've read a couple of the comics. I'm about to read the first audiobook on that one, Path of Deceit. But we will get to them. But I will say I thought Loden and Bell were cool in this book. I liked their dynamic, but my favorite character in this book, and we'll get back to Avar and I keep wanting to say Stellan. It's not Stellan.
Avar and Elzar.
Avar and Elzar. But my favorite is my boy Porter Engle.
I can see that. Porter Engle.
If this comic is so worth the read. I am actively searching for the Broken Blade now, the sequel to this one, because it is so good. So Porter Engle is great. I love him, and he does amazing. In every appearance, he steals the show, and I get excited. I'm like, oh, Porter Engle, let's go!
Dylan went Porter Engle.
Yes, I do also love that the Jedi have multiple colored lightsabers. So you have yellow, you have green, you have blue, you have purple. I like the fact that the order.
You have white.
Yes.
There's a white saber in this book.
Who has a white saber in this book?
Jorah Malley.
Jorah Malley, yes.
Jorah Malley kind of,
Damn, R.I.P. So
yeah, she fucking bites it. Like
one of the things is about this book, and then reading Into the Dark is not only do we get to see like her death in it, her death is mentioned in this book, but Reed Silas in Into the Dark was her Padawan, and he wasn't there. So he finds out about her death later on, and it is tragic.
Why would they do that?
Because, listen, I remember reading Light of the Jedi. I remember getting all the way through it, and I had kind of forgotten about Jorah Malley. And then when I got to Midnight or Into the Dark, and it has Wreath, and it mentions Jorah Malley, and I'm like, Jorah Malley, where have I heard that name before?
I know that person. Why do I know that person?
I was like, what? Where did she come from? Why do I remember her? Where does that name come from? And then it mentioned that she died, and I went, oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no, I remember now. But yes, also Orla Jareni has white lightsabers, and she's great.
Is she the one with all the hood cloaky business?
She's the way seeker that's in always like the pristine white robes.
Yes.
She's Into the Dark.
But also, Callahan brought up the lightsaber keys for the Vectors, and that is such a cool concept. Why did that go away by the prequels?
I love that idea because
cool.
and Star Wars Explained has talked about this, so I'm by no means breaking new ground. But I love the fact that it really shows that the Jedi, when they turn to violence, it's a very explicit choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you can fly a Vector without ever firing the laser cannons. Mm-hmm. But in order to do that, you have to intentionally put your lightsaber into the thing. Basically, you're intentionally saying, like, there's no, oh, I accidentally hit the laser button. Like, you made that intentional choice.
Yeah.
Yes, I also think that that's really cool, and it's a cool little detail that I just love that
Jedi and their RGB keyboards.
Oh God, he's got RGBs. We got to bounce.
The Nile.
Hold on, I know we have to stop the Nile, but my gaming setup isn't ready. I need to pour it into my PC. I need the battle pass.
Pulling up to the battle at the end of the book with the cat ear headphones and your Vector.
Bumping some like Nightcore. Wreckpunk versus Nightcore. Who wins?
Dude, Wreckpunk is cool. I like that they added more music genres to, and the fact that it's all like, because they describe Wreckpunk at one point in the book, it's like everything has to be made using parts of destroyed stuff. Like that's what the instruments are.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I remember when I first heard about the High Republic books was the idea of the Nile and Wreckpunk. And I'm like, okay, this is fucking 90s grimdark. Oh, we're so edgy because we break stuff. And then you actually read it, you're like, no, this is genuinely good. Like, it could have very easily drifted off into kind of being a little cringe. And maybe like they, before reading the book, the Nile kind of gave me, and this is a interesting reference, but it gave me like Jesse and James from Pokemon vibes. Like, cause like, and like Team Rocket, cause like they're not really a threat, but they are. You know what I mean?
I mean, because they talk about what the Nile was before Ascar Row, before Marchion Row. And from what they mentioned about what it was prior to the paths, prior to them, that's kind of what it was. They were small timers.
Yeah, they were
but
kind of
now,
just like, we're backing up again! Okay, Callahan, make it happen. Make the meme.
I've already made one meme for this episode and put it in the Discord.
Nice.
Well, here, let me just go ahead.
Join the Discord. Join that Discord so you can get fire memes like this. Really true.
Like this is just what it is. It's like, you know, you pull up, crack the book open, get past the title, 30 minutes to impact. Why would you do that?
What do you mean? And then I love the fact that they introduced all these characters in the beginning just to immediately kill them off. Like, people on the Legacy run, like they really took the time to endear you to the people on the Legacy run.
Captain Hedda Cassette. I thought she was going to be like, oh, dang, she's really cool. She's like this badass
she
was
old trying
lady.
to Tokyo drift a starship.
She did. It didn't work.
And then Marchion said, no. You guys have to die.
No.
Because that was one of the craziest reveals at the end of this book, where
everything
he reveals to the Tempest. And again, Mark Thompson just absolutely knocked it out of the park in the audiobook, where, especially after, because it wasn't Pan Eta that died, and it wasn't Lord, it was Kasif. And the way he read Kasif reminded me of what was the guy's name in Clone Wars that served with Aura Singh and Boba Fett, and the arc where he goes to kill Mace Windu.
Not boss. Was
where
it
he's kind of busted in front of his teeth, and I don't want to do this anymore, Aura. So when like the way he read him, he sounded so. I think it was like, I can't remember his name right now. He gets killed. But Aura Singh kills him. But anyway, so he read him kind of like that, and I thought he sounded very like slimy and weaselly, and like with sort of this like with this vibe of like, you know, sleazery. And I absolutely love the fact that he decides to try to run up on Iriadu. Now, for those who are unaware and uninitiated, Iriadu is the home of Grand Moff Tarkin, and is also the current resting place of our favorite member of the Bad Batch. I still don't believe he's gone. I live in delusion. But Iriadu is known for its very harsh climate and an environment. And one of the things I was not expecting was reading the Tarkin book to pay off. But I read the Tarkin book years ago. And Iriadu is Tarkin's homeworld. So in the audiobook, Mark Thompson reads the people of Iriadu just like Tarkin, with that posh snobness. You may fire when ready, you know. And like in the book, you get this like venom when he's basically extorting them. You have no idea who you're messing with. I'm not worried about you. Oh, you will. The Iriadu are hunters.
He should have. He really
They
should have.
they came and they rocked his shit.
Like the final.
That
So
battle at the end, when the Iriadu when they showed up, I'm like, they're done. He's done.
they're done. He's
Game
dead.
over.
He should just.
GG's,
Like there's not even.
You're
There's no
cooked, brother.
surrender at that point. The Jedi might have taken you alive. Iriado's not going to. Iriado's just going to murder you.
They wanted his head.
They
Lay your head on a spike outside of our capital. Like, they wanted all of the smoke.
If they could not have boarded his ship, they would have just blown him up. But they wanted to board him, and they wanted to see him die.
Yes. And the Jedi are just like, we'll let it go. It's like that one meme, that little kid, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. That's really the Jedi watching Ariadu, because Ariadu's just, they're so intense all the time for no reason.
For real. That was great. But anyway, so you had mentioned Avar and Elzar. What are your thoughts on them?
So I think one of the most interesting points in regards to Jedi and romances is that during the prequels, it's like a hard line. Oh, attachments are forbidden. Attachments are forbidden. Here, they joke about it. They joke about attachments being forgiven, like a good amount of times. So it leads me to believe that
it was implied that they had like a relationship when they were younger.
No, because they talked. There was like a specific line. Like they don't say anything. They don't say that anything happened, but they're like, "Oh, those days of what happened when they were Padawans." And I'm like, "What happened when they were Padawans? What did y'all do before you were knighted?" Because Avar's been a master for a while. Elzar gets promoted at the end of this book. Not officially, but they've offered him a place as master. We just haven't gone through the whole, ritual and everything.
They give him the rank of master, and I thought that was really cool. And one of the things I think you really learn as the High Republic goes on, without giving away the game too much, is that the Jedi in this era are very forgiving of people who break the code, and they're very willing to let people walk away if that's what they need to do. Like, you're not gonna like, oh, so I'm trying to hold it because there are some characters that come up in later books. Master Cantum Sai in the book Midnight Horizon, they're worth it just to read the book just for their story. But they tell a story about how they went and they found romance when they were a Padawan, and they were one of Yoda's Padawans, and they actually left the Order for a time to pursue that love. They were a Padawan on the verge of getting knighted, and Yoda's Padawan, and basically goes and leaves their lightsaber at Yoda's feet, walks away from the Order, and then came back years later. I don't want to spoil what happens because it's beautiful, but it's cool it's cool. So the Jedi of this era are very forgiving, and what I'm interested in seeing is how the Jedi of this era get twisted into what we see in the prequels.
So I think a big part of that is going to be Yoda's hesitancy to stop the downfall, in all honesty. Because Yoda's not super present in this book. He pops up at the end, doesn't say a damn thing. They talk about him being there, which is surprising, and that's it. He's mentioned by name only like 3 other times in the book. Yoda's not present. Is he Grand Master of the Order or just a master? Do we know?
No, he's just a master on the council. I don't think he's Grand Master. I think.
Do they have a Grand Master?
I think there's a couple Grand Masters. I don't remember who the Grand Master of the Order is.
I like that. Speaking of high up people, let's talk about Chancellor Lena So, because she is my favorite character of this era.
Really, Lena So? I like it.
So I love Lena So.
I
Lena
really
So is everything that I wish world leaders were today. She is selfless and genuinely wants to do good for people just out of the kindness of her heart. She pursues projects not because she will profit or gain influence, but because she genuinely believes that they will do good for the people of the galaxy. She
she's the
believes
perfect antithesis to Palpatine.
she is, and I love that. But like in the because at the end of the book we have the dedication of Starlight Beacon. It's a beautiful scene with a really moving speech by Chancellor Lena So, and in part of it, she says the people of the Outer Rim deserve to have access to the same level of care as the people in the core world. It's why Starlight Beacon is such a big thing, because Starlight Beacon itself, when the High Republic first came out and Starlight Beacon was getting talked about, it seemed like it was just a Jedi outpost, but it's so much more than that. Yes, there is a Jedi temple there. Yes, it is the largest one aside from Coruscant. But in addition to that, there is a state-of-the-art medical bay. There is a library. There is a museum. There are agricultural centers. There is so much to Starlight Beacon. It itself is a city, but it brings all of the good that is in the core world to the Outer Rim, to these colonists who are striking it out to try and expand the influence of the Republic and bring, I don't know. I love the Republic in this era because they are just, everybody bands together. And we see this a lot in the Legacy Run disaster. The people of Hetzal, Kevin Tarr. Kevin Tarr's cool. I liked him.
Oh, Kevin Tarr? Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, he's a freaking genius, first of all.
Yes. He gets mentioned.
Like,
I don't. He only gets a few mentions in some of the other books, but there's one point where they're trying to solve a problem, and somebody goes, "Why don't we just call Kevin Tarr?" And I actually think it's Elzar who says it.
Yeah, because he and Elzar met back on Hetzal, and
Shout
also
out to
the
Elzar.
giant.
His vision at the end.
I'm not ready for that yet. I'm not ready to talk about that yet. We will talk about it, but not yet.
I want to go back and I want to revisit his vision, because I want to say what his vision foresees is in the book. I think his vision was, he interprets his vision as the events of the Rising Storm, but I really think his vision is supposed to be Fallen Star.
Oh.
And you will get into that when you read those books. And I will not talk about what happens.
Okay.
I will hold my tongue, because there's some stuff that goes on that I cannot wait for you to read.
I gotcha. So, one of the things that I've been considering about this era specifically is just that with all of these characters, with all of them potentially able to die at just about any moment, there's a connection that my brain has drawn being like, oh, this is kind of Star Wars' Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, do you get that feeling at all from the High
Republic? I definitely get that. I definitely get that vibe. That, like, you know, and one of the things that I really appreciated was the idea that, oh, this character is safe because they have a name, they have a backstory, they have, you know, unresolved plot threads, and then boom,
they explode and die in a horrific hyperspace explosion.
Because much like real life, not everybody gets to leave on a finished note. And I'm speaking about events that happen later on vaguely, but there is one event that will absolutely break your heart, and I have still not recovered from it. But speaking of things that will help you recover from a broken heart, how about a Wookiee hug? How about Buryaga?
I love Buryaga.
The GOAT, the MVP, the guy, the fellow.
Buryaga is spectacular because that Wookiee hug provided plot significance because it was the first thing to point us towards the Nile being the cause of the Legacy Run disaster.
I know.
Also, I love Buryaga.
Buryaga is great.
Buryaga was the entire reason that we figured out, oh, that's a ship. There are people on it, which added this whole new layer to the Legacy Run disaster because now not only do we have to try and shoot down fragments of this ship so they don't destroy a fucking moon, we have to try and catch it because there's people on board that we don't want to kill.
And I love that it takes all of the Jedi working together to stop it. It's beautiful. And again, it's one of the reasons why I said in our video on why you should read the High Republic, shout out to that video. You should go watch it. Check out our page. But one of the things I really enjoyed about that was the fact that we're seeing the Jedi more interconnected than ever and doing these insane feats of force, strength, and power. And so that's when people are like, oh my god, the Old Republic is great because all the force powers. Read the High Republic, dude.
Yeah.
And mind you, and here's the thing. So when people are like, oh, the dark side is stronger than the light side, this is definitive proof that no, the dark side is not stronger than the light side. Like Yoda says, it is the quick and easy path.
Mm-hmm.
Easy to join you in flight, but its power is fleeting. And I really love that here, and I love how everyone works together, and it's beautiful. It's genuinely one of the coolest things, and it really makes me appreciate the Jedi more. It definitely makes me a Jedi Order defender even harder. And it just gives me so much more ammo for my debate arsenal when it comes to the Jedi and why they're great.
I will say this, because I am not a fan of the prequel Jedi Order. This is known. That being said, to me, the High Republic Jedi Order is not the same Jedi Order as we see in the prequels. Point number one, the drip game is better. Leather armor and white and gold robes are superior to khakis any day.
Yes.
You cannot best me with this.
The fact that they have two separate forms of robes, they have travel robes and they have formal robes.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. I need to get a good picture of the Jedi leathers because in my head it's like D&D leather armor, but somehow in space.
Look up. You can find a pretty good photo of it pretty quickly. Look up if you look up Wreath Silas, you'll actually see like what the armor or the robes look like. And it's not armor; it's robe. Like they're very cool. The drip game is definitely better. I think it definitely speaks to the opulence of the era. Pull it up for the people.
I'm trying to. Oh, of course, somebody's cast Tom Holland as him.
Tom Holland.
Hum Holland.
You know what? Actually, that might actually be kind of a fun.
Here's Avar in the road. Ooh.
Yeah.
Those are entirely different than what I thought.
I'm pulled the picture because when the High Republic first came out, there was some weirdo freak that went online and like took all the promo images and like over sexualized them. I'm sure like you've seen them. Like, yeah, it's very weird. It was like because they're woke and the woman is wearing a robe, like they're Jedi. The Jedi wear Jedi robes. Not everybody is Ayla Sakura running around in a tube top and miniskirt.
But she slayed when she did.
Yes, she did. That was her choice, as she should.
Okay, one sec while I grab this. Yeah, because the difference between the leathers to the formal robes, I'm a big fan.
I am too.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm trying to find a picture.
There we go. Here we are. So those are like the travel leathers. I love this look. It is a very good look. I want me some of that Jedi armor. That's cool as hell. Oh, I do not have it. It is.
Damn. Okay.
But yeah, big fan of those outfits. And I like the white and gold robes too. They're damn good. Closest we will get is
that's the white and gold right there. That's
yes,
Stellan.
it is. Oh, that's Stellan. That's the lightsaber that everybody has.
Yes.
The one that you can get as a little dangly in Star Wars Squadrons. Squadrons is a good game.
That I did not know about. Yariel Poof.
Stickhead Man.
Shout out to our boy Porter Engel. Shout out to my boy.
Old ass man. Yes.
Listen, Porter Engel's a beast.
I love Porter Engel. This man, his entire, because like he gets into a fight with the two Nile. What is that? Oh,
this is his comic, and I'm very excited because he is just a fucking boss in this book.
mm-hmm.
He goes so crazy. He's out here quipping like a Marvel hero. And
truly, that was one of the things that I noticed during the fight with the Nile in the canyon. He's just like he's shit talking them the entire time.
Yeah. You are nothing. Trash. Know your place. Trash.
GG easy no re.
Genuine skill issue.
Oh, I love Porter Engel.
I'm going to show you why they call me the Blade of Bardota. You peasant.
So,
also, shout out to Bell's Charhound Ember saving the day.
Oh yeah.
I just want you to know, when I was hearing the phrase Charhound, I was picturing. I pictured just like a golden retriever,
mm-hmm.
right? I just had a dog in my head, and that was it.
That dog breathes fire.
Yes, I want to show you. I want to show you an image of
I'm
Ember from one of the covers of one of the books.
Mm-hmm.
Ember does not look. Ember looked like a straight up hellhound.
Yep. No, she does. She's a good little hellhound, but good fucking lord.
Fetch me their soul's head ass.
Yeah.
That was not what I imagined in my head. Just imagine. I would lose it.
Yeah.
And like,
oh no shit.
Yeah. Like I said, fetch me their soul head ass. For real. Bell,
no, I'm just realizing like
pets.
Yeah.
You know,
Ember
turn you into puppy chow.
Also, the fact that Ember can just breathe fire.
Yes.
Because she roasts one of the Nile.
Yes. I did not know Ember could do that. But I'm so proud that they did. I'm happy they did that. Also, this is Ember and Bell, for those who are wondering.
Yeah.
That's a big dog.
It's a big ass dog. Kind of reminds me of what is it? Those Dobermans? I forget.
Yes, it reminds me of like a Doberman.
Space Hellhound Doberman.
Space.
Crispy Doberman.
Fetch me their souls.
And the thing is, like, Bell is such like a chill, kind of unsure of himself dude. And then we have Ember, who is just ready to murder at a moment's notice.
Absolutely. And the fact that Ember saved Porter Engel, I knew I immediately loved Ember. Because I thought for a second when I was listening to this book that Porter was going to die.
He even says, he's like,
He's like,
And
bro.
it was in that moment that he said to himself, I am Porter Engle and I'm about to die. Like, that's the line.
He's so dramatic.
He is. He's this old ass dramatic man. All I can think of is like Porter Engle is like if a like war veteran decided, okay, I'm done fighting in a war. I'm gonna go be a theater teacher now. And that man also happens to be in the Jedi Order. That is Porter Engle.
He's a
He
chef.
also makes the best fucking food you have ever had.
So what's funny is that at the very beginning of his comic, there's a scene of Porter Engle serving people dinner, and they all hate it.
Character
They're all
development
like,
for real.
"This is terrible," and he goes, "Well, I did say I would do it. I never said I would do it well. I'm still learning how to cook."
Oh, I love Porter Engle.
You know, this is one of my favorite moments to bring up in Kenobi. But there's a scene where Obi-Wan makes somebody food, makes a Annalene food, and she says to him, she says, "Well, you definitely tried to make dinner," and Obi-Wan goes, "Well, I did make it. I just didn't do it very well. I have a friend who's quite particular on trying." Also, I love how that gave more Thrawn than Obi-Wan. I'm so sorry to the British people. My British accent has not been there lately.
That's all right.
Shout out to our friends on the other side of the pond.
We miss you guys very much. And Charlie, we wish you a speedy recovery. Absolutely. And we are very excited to see the more of your hair when you do, because those Lego look great.
So, makeup tutorial when? We need it. I need to know how to turn myself green.
I need to know how to make a Deveronian, because I have a Deveronian OC that I need to cosplay eventually. Unfortunately, he is 3 times bulkier than I am. He is a big boy.
Oh yes, Callahan, you are correct that another character's tube top has disappeared, and for the better. We're not talking about it because of their struck.
Oh, okay. Good enough.
Yeah, I'll pull up the comment real quick because.
Sorry, I'm not wearing my actual glasses. I just thought these looked cute. One second.
Yes,
okay.
The struck character who at the time was 14. Pay your writers and actors, because that show it is killing me to not talk about.
Yeah, that show.
According to a post Callahan sent me last night, is that the AMPTP is willing to sit down and reopen negotiations. So,
supposedly this is their best and final offer, which means they're desperate.
You're right about one thing. The
negotiations were short. When they actually fucking tried.
Yeah. Anyways, so what else do you want to say on this book? We have Elzar's vision at the end.
I have one more thing that I want to talk about, and that is the pretty noticeable shift in Marchion as a character from the start of the book to the end of the book. And it happens about halfway through the second part.
Okay.
We see Marchion finally show his colors, because at the start he's just kind of sitting there. It's like, I like my rule of 3 share, and I buy expensive things with it that none of you will ever know about. Here's your pass, go do some shit. And then the Legacy Run disaster happens, and then Kassev fucks up, and then Lorna D fucks up. And so he calls them all together. Kassev tries to pull a blaster on him, and he cuts off his goddamn hand, kicks him to the ground, steps on his chest, leans in and says, I have a plan to fix us. Do you want to hear it? And at that point, Lorna D and Panada are standing there like, oh, who the fuck are you? Because that is not the same man that we had a couple of chapters ago.
I agree. Bro really does come out of nowhere with the absolute savagery.
And I loved it because this is a book in Star Wars where our villains have no connection to the Force. Not even the dark side, the Force in general. It's... Ah! Hello.
Hi, Annie.
Good to see you. Oh, but yes, Marchion also Loden Greatstorm. We haven't talked about him that much. We mentioned his name once, but he's the literal best. I love that man so much.
I love the way that they made him everything a Jedi should be.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ending, where he gets captured by the Nile.
And his lightsaber gets taken by Marchion as a fucking trophy. That broke my heart.
Also, just wanted to pull this image up of Marchion Ro.
Oh, he looks way different than I pictured him.
Yes,
he's way more buff.
Oh God, he's hot.
So, I love the fact that he's fucking blue.
Yeah, he's a Everini.
Oh.
New species.
Oh, nice.
Oh God, he's hot.
Not Chiss.
Quick, Squidward, try to imagine him in his underwear. Oh God, he's hot.
But yeah, I love Loden, and I also love that Loden is very different in his way of teaching Bell, and also in doing things generally. In that to teach Bell how to land softly, he kicked his ass out of the vector.
I also love the way
he's horrifying.
Just the one central eye has the Darth Maul bisexual can't sit in a chair properly stance.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I respect it. We love the representation. We got Darth Maul. We've got Bo-Katan. And I am wearing pants. I'm wearing pants. They're just shorts.
Ah.
I am indeed wearing pants. This is one of those episodes where pants have indeed been confirmed. Sit
For one of us.
Man. And then Marchion just man spreads.
Yeah.
The Bo-Katan can't sit in a chair. No, Maul can't sit in the chair either. And Marchion just man spreads.
Yeah. But I think it's very interesting because Loden, one of my favorite things is the first things that we get of Loden is him going up to a bunch of people who are hoarding a ship that hundreds could use to get off the planet. And the guard is like, step back. What are you going to do? Cut down the door? I mean, I might. What are you going to do about it? And the guard's like, I didn't think Jedi did that. He's like, you have a lot to learn. You should open the door. And he's like, open the door.
Okay.
He's just like, open the door because I don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I love how he just plays chicken with that guard. And he's just like, listen, I don't want to do violence, but I will. I'm not afraid.
No, but Loden does have the most try-me bitch mentality of any Jedi I've ever met.
Loden, try me bitch. Greatstorm.
When I say that Loden is the perfect mix of Anakin and Obi-Wan, do you know what I mean?
I do.
Does that fit?
I think that's very valid. And he's
because
a Twi'lek representation of not being a scumbag or a slave. Shout out to that.
I like that.
Except for the ending where he does kind of become Marchion's prisoner, but one day our people will be free. One day. The Twi'leks will be free.
Also, Marchion imprisons him in the most fucking diabolical way possible. Having 8 prisoners in the same chamber as him, who anytime that they get slightly comfortable get a shock sent through their body.
I just want you to know, it gets so much worse.
What?
It gets worse. And that is all I will say. It gets worse. Our boy Loading goes through it.
Oh.
I can't wait till you read Rising Storm.
I was hoping the start of the next book was going to be Loden's rescue mission. This does not instill me with... That was not very for light and life of you, Dylan.
Everyone thinks he's dead. Except for Belle.
Even Porter Engle?
Yes. They all think he's dead.
When they announced his name at the dedication for all the people who lost their lives in the disaster, and Belle audibly gasped, I was like, oh, baby boy. Baby boy.
And it's interesting because, you know, Belle is his Padawan, so they have a special connection through the Force. So you got to think, he knows something's up. And he has a really good arc about it in the Rising Storm that Belle would not solo the Nile, but Belle is great, and we need to put more respect on Belle Zettifar's name.
I like Belle. I like Belle a lot.
I love Belle Zettifar. Belle Zettifar and Rhys Silas are two of my favorite Padawans from this era.
One thing that I really want to see, because
with the Ram Joma Ram, shout out to Ram.
I do have there's a Star Wars tabletop out there that I've been meaning to get a campaign together, and it's just been hard to schedule for about a year now over that.
It will happen.
Eventually. But I'd love to see a story from that played during the High Republic era, because that's going to be a very different setting, but I would love to see how those characters play out.
Do you know what would be fun is to have, because it takes place like post-Imperial era, right?
The campaign for you guys does. It is roughly, so it's before Mando, but after Return of the Jedi. It's roughly 2 years post Return of the Jedi.
Okay, I like that because it's 1 year after the Battle of Jakku.
Mm-hmm. The Battle of Jakku.
You know what would be really fun is hunting hunting down an artifact from the High Republic era.
See, I thought about that, and I thought it would be really cool for somebody to eventually find Starlight Beacon. But the fact that it's never been talked about ever in the prequels or original trilogy or sequel leads me to believe that something is going to happen and it's going to turn to space dust.
You know what you need to do? Get through phase 1, and then we will discuss. You need to get through phase 1 first, and that is all I will say.
Okay.
Like I said, like you said, Star Wars Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
No one is safe.
Well, do we have any more to talk about with the book that I know is going to be the start of my favorite thing to ever break my heart?
Yes. Every book is pain, suffering, and misery. And it's very much the fuck you, I'll see you next week meme.
Yep.
I'm very excited for the next phase that's about to drop. I'm now getting into phase 2. So I've already read one of the I've read the comic, I read the Blade comic, and I read Balance of the Force comic.
Okay.
And I'm getting ready to start into, I think it's Into the Path of Vengeance, Path to Despair. It's Path to Despair, then Path of Vengeance. And I'm very excited to learn because there's a bunch of different like Force sects in this era, and I'm very excited to see what happens to them. So we have like the Path of the Open Hand, we have the Guardians of the Wills, we have a ton of other like Force sects, and I can't wait till you meet certain characters that come up in later books. And I'm very excited for you to get through what is it? the Rising Storm, because there are some things that happen in Rising Storm that Markion Rowe discovers that very much changes the game. And once you discover what that is and you learn a little bit more about it, we will discuss including that in your tabletop, because I think that would be a good thing to include.
Okay.
But we will get there. It has to do with the Force. And it is a very much Jedi-centered threat. And I think that would be very enjoyable to have.
Okay. Well, we are coming up on an hour and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And in the interest of not making yet another longest Under the Helmet stream, I think it's best that we cut things off here. But
I agree.
As always, it's been wonderful sharing our Sunday mornings with you all. I hope y'all are enjoying the new stream time. I know it works a lot better for us. We hope it works better for you guys. Dylan, would you like to send them off?
I would love to. So, with that being said, thank you for joining another episode of the most disorganized podcast on the internet. If you like what you saw here today and you have made it all the way to the end, hope you enjoyed Light of the Jedi. Can't wait to talk about some of these more High Republic books because they're really enjoyable. They're not currently under strike, and they are really enjoyable, and it's a great era of Star Wars to get into, and I feel like you are getting a lot. You'll get a lot from it, and it will help you appreciate later eras. But with that being said, leave a like, leave a comment, share with your friends, and of course, subscribe to Under the Helmet Podcast. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day, and may the Force be with you. We are indeed all the Republic.
High Republic's better than the prequels.
Agreed. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Oh, man, I gotta pee.
Man,